All right, wait for people to kind of catch up, get ready. Sure, it's a good time right now to start stretching. Can you hear me? All right, make sure right now you're stretching, get everything ready. If you got a P-row, go ahead and grab that. If you have a designated or safe spot that you can practice without getting hurt, please go to that spot. If you have either some mats or a piece of carpet or something of that nature where you're not going to be moving, this is going to be perfect for all of you guys. All right, and if you can't hear or anything, please just say something to me or reply in the comments and I will fix that. All right. So first off, just welcome. I just want everyone to be, grateful that we are having this time together, even though it is a unprecedented times that are happening. But this is a way that we can all still be connected and also keep brushing up on our skills. And we're not going to be, using this time to turn into a potato or not using this time to be creative. So for the first thing that I want to talk about is for people who are just starting to learn how to skate. I know there were a lot of people wondering how to stop, how to jump onto rails, how to do a lot of different things. But the first thing that we're going to work on is just being comfortable on the skates. Now, the first thing in my school I teach, the skates don't skate you, you skate the skates. They don't have a mind of their own. They're not doing all these different things. You have the power to have the control over the skates. That comes with having that weight distribution, having that control. Now, big shout out to Skate IA for keeping the skate culture alive for over 30 years. They've been helping a lot of people just keep finding their passion in skating and how they can share it. So big shout out to them. I got to start my school and was able to figure out a way to give back to the community and be able to share knowledge. So I'm glad that we're able to do this again. So thank you for everyone that's tuned in right now. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about the flex on the skates, the edges, okay? Now standing still, if you realize that your skates, if you have them on at this point, what you want to do is make sure that they're comfortable, right? You don't want to have them too tight or too loose to where you feel like you're swimming in your skates. You want to have them at some point comfortable that where you can move them side to side without them pinching too hard. Now, if you do have new skates, if you do have brand new skates, you do have to realize breaking them in is a real thing. It's going to take time for you to break them in. That just means you have to put your skates on more and start actually using the skates to start breaking them in. Now, normally, depending on how much you're skating, it normally takes about a few months, maybe 3 months tops to kind of get them really broken in. But since now the things have changed and we're not going out to the skate parks as much and doing things like that, now we're going to have to find ways to be active in your home or your space or somewhere in an isolated area. I'm in Oakland, California right now. We are trying to get this going here and trying to reach out to wherever you are. Leave comments and let me know where you are in the world, okay? So, getting back to the edges and the flex of the skates. Now, when you are on your skates, you realize that you are on blade. Now, if you are on blades, you're going to have more of a side-to-side flex than you would be on your quad skates. Quad skates, you have more of an equal balance because you have 2 wheels in the front and 2 wheels in the back. So the equal distance of you being able to balance is about the same. Now, the only thing that's going to be different is the flex of the sides, okay? Now going back to the blades, you're going to look on the outside of your skates. That's going to be the outside edges. This is going to be what's going to help you do your tricks that are going to be outside edge tricks, whether it's a front torque, front farve, backslide going this way. All these different tricks, front sides, all these flexes that you do will all come with this stretch. So I'm going to show you how to do that with the side edges, the flex on the side. What you want to do is put your skates about as close as you can to each other, and what you're going to do is take your pinky toes and you're going to flex them down in this down motion, and you'll notice that your hips will start coming down when you push, right? Your legs will start opening up and you'll start making this diamond shape within your legs. Now the more that you get comfortable getting the boot to actually touch the ground and the squat is kind of pushing downward. That's going to give you more of that flexibility to be on the side of your skates. That will help you also be in a stretch as well. Okay, shout out to the UK. All right. This is something that you can do to help you get comfortable with your flexibility. Now, all these things that we're doing off the skates or off the rails and actually moving, all these things are going to help you that much better get comfortable with being on the skates, okay? So that is the outside edges, right? So as soon as you get more comfortable, you want to try to really make that square, that triangle shape that's right here, like a diamond kind of, okay? Now the next one, you're going to go ahead and put your feet out back to this regular position into this side position where it's going to be your parallel. All right. Yo, shout out to Norway. What's up, man? So as we're getting this happening, what we're going to do is you're going to space them out about the shoulder width of your shoulders. And what you're going to do is pick your big toe, your thumb toes, your big toe, and you're going to point them inward. So as you're pointing them inward, what you're doing is going to get your knees in the squat to bend them down a little bit. Now the further you go out, so say if I go further out, you have more of a flex to get it down. What you want to do is try to be able to see the outline or the wheel logo of your skates. So the more that you get this inside flex down, you're getting more comfortable. This will also come in handy a little bit later. I'm going to show you too. Okay? And much love, South Africa. What's up? Yeah, you guys are killing it. So, UFO. All right, this is a UFO, and this is also doing front sides. You being able to have that comfortability on flat ground, and you realizing what that feels like when you get into these positions. Okay? So that's the inside edges, right? You're using the inside edges of your skate. You're getting that flex on the inside of the boot. Everything is coming down, okay? Everything has to do with the squat. That's the majority of skating is going to be you doing the squats. If you realize you're going to be jumping a lot, you're going to be squatting a lot when you're actually doing your tricks, okay? So that's just basically being able to squat down, touch the side of your skates, coming back up, okay? Now, back to the edges. Now we're going to come back to the parallel position, the ready position, the start, okay? Matt Love from Canada, what's up? Yeah. So when you guys are doing this, right, you are keeping this ready position. This is like the go-to position. Every time that you have your skates ready, this is what you start with. This is what you do before you start jumping. This is when your setup time, basically, okay? So parallel is very important. That's your setup time. That's how you get yourself balanced. If you are approaching something and you're all over the place and you're about to do it, majority of the time you're not going to have that control. So I'm going to teach you ways that you can start getting prepared to think about what you're doing, okay, before you actually go for it. Now, in this parallel position, the ready position, the next one we're going to do is the corresponding ones. Basically, these are also tricks as well, okay? You're learning how to bend on flex on the outside edge of the skate and also on the opposite skate, so you bend the inside of the skate. So that's when you are having one skate going to this direction. What's happening is my knees, my hips, I'm leaning onto the same direction, but as I'm leaning, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start squatting down. And so when I squat down, that kind of gives me more of a flex and more of a range to be able to get that lean in. And the more that you get the lean, you start making this C shape. This backward C shape. You're going this way. If I'm going this way, it's going to be a back far, very far. If I'm going same position, now I'm going this way, now my body's going to be facing in this position. It's all about the direction, also the way that you're going to be moving. Those are big steps, okay? When you get comfortable, you go from one side back to the other side. And the more that you get comfortable doing that, that's going to be more style, more control. It's going to be more difficult, definitely. If you are standing straight up majority of the time, it's going to be pretty difficult to get your balance right because your whole body is the tool. Your skates aren't just skating by themselves, your hips aren't just skating by themselves, your shoulders, all those things, everything's connected. So everything's going to have its job to do when you actually are doing it, okay? So that's a big step, all right? So getting down those edges, right? Getting comfortable, being able to realize those are your shortcuts. Those are all your tricks. Being able to do this is going to help you be able to do soul grinds, right? Acid grind. Star right here, right? So all these things that you're going to be able to do from these tricks, those are all positions, right? This is a front side, right? You've been able to go from one foot and crossing over to the other. That's alley unity. Put it in front, it's a front unity. The more you get comfortable in balancing on the flat ground, it'll start help translate to when you start doing it onto the rails. Okay? So if you have any questions, make sure you tap in and say something in the comments. I will do my best to go ahead and answer them if you have any questions about that. Yeah, much love. Shout out to Dylan. What's up, man? All right. So now let's talk about stopping real quick. Okay. So what I want to talk to you guys and all right, what I want to show you guys. Shout out to SoCal. What up? Let's go. We all in this. What I want to do is show you guys how to be able to stop. Now some people ask me if I'm right-footed or if I'm left-footed. I am majority of the time left-footed, but also do things right-footed too. One thing that's very important when you are skating is to learn how to be a well-rounded skater. Try to do things both directions. Those are things that are very, very important. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about being able to stop. Now, if you have space in your house or in your room or in your backyard, this is the time for that. If you have a little area and you want to practice being able to stop, maybe have put a pillow down somewhere to block you or someone to stop you on the wall if you can. This will help you just kind of figure out ways to get comfortable. Well, let's say there's 3 ways, okay? If you have a break, if you have a skate that has a break on it, yes, shout out to Victoria Rose. Happy birthday. Hope you have a good one. It's crazy now that we're having birthdays and things in quarantine, so much love, all right? Be safe out there, all right? So when you are doing these stops, if you have a break on your skate, if you skate a skate, the break is either on the right or the left side, one thing that you're going to have to realize that the break is something that you're going to want to have in front, okay? Now this simple motion right here, where you're starting in this parallel position where both skates are about the same width apart, maybe about a width of your fist from your knuckle to knuckle. What you're going to do is go into the staggered position, which we call the scissor. From skate AA, they call it the scissor as well. You are going to go ahead and put the foot that has the break on it in front. So what you're doing is you're going to equally establish your distribution, your weight going to be equally in the middle. So that not your weight's all the way in the back, your weight's not all the way in the forward, but you're basically pushing your hips 1 foot forward. So a way to get comfortable doing that is just standing back and forth and go opposite ways. Go back and forth, both ways. Each way that you do that will help you get comfortable with being able to skate, and whenever you're ready to do the motion, what you'll do is stop and go into this parallel position first, and then you would go into the scissor. Now this is something more if you're a little more advanced, if you're just beginning, you want to try to do this again on the mat or something that is stagnant, maybe the carpet or a rug, something like that, or one of these workout mats. So as you're getting comfortable doing that, what you're going to do is take the foot that has the break on it, and you're going to slowly start lifting up the back heel on that. Now when you start rolling and having motion with it, the more that you are firm and put that weight on the back of your thigh and the back of your calf muscle, that's what's going to help you get that stop. Now you just have to make sure that you keep that foot sturdy and firm, because you don't want to do it too quick and then you shoot too far forward, and that's how you can maybe hurt your knee. So you want to make sure that you are doing this, okay? And having that firm, and that you're kind of sitting down and you kind of get that squat in. It's kind of like you're sitting down in a chair or something, okay? So that is one way to help you stop. And that would kind of look like this. If I had a brake on, I would be going back. Now, since I do not have brakes on these skates, these are aggressive skates. These are meant for doing tricks and grinds and jumping off of stuff, over cars, things like that. So when you are doing action sports stuff with the skate, get comfortable, okay? Now, when you get comfortable and you start doing your tricks and you learn your first switch-ups, one of your first switch-ups that you should learn, one of my favorite ones that kind of helps you get a glimpse of doing more than one harder trick. You can even do something like budget tricks first are always a good way to start with, so you can get comfortable, meaning going from a sole grind to a front side, right? You're just learning how to pick one foot up and turn, okay? You're learning how to go from one sole foot to bring the foot up to a front side. That is a good one to just start with to get comfortable with what you're doing, because you're learning how to jump to it, right? So sole to front side, that's a good first one to start. Another good one that I like is also Royale to alley topsail. That one's a little more challenging when you start actually skating, but we'll talk a little bit more with the more advanced ones a little bit later. But first, back to being able to stop. If you do not have a brake on your skates, okay, there's two ways that you can do it besides having to do an immediate hockey stop where you kind of you're power sliding into it like that. You could do a T-stop where you're dragging the back of your foot, which that one you want to be careful with because your wheels will get messed up if you do that. So you have to be careful that you don't. You only usually do that one in an emergency, okay? Majority of the time, the best one is going to be the speed check, is what I call it. Basically, you're doing a lemon drop. But what's happening when you're doing the lemon drop, when you start putting pressure down onto your legs, what you're doing is putting your body weight down onto the side and having this down motion. So what you're doing is kind of like creating like this parachute, right? You're putting your weight down, and the more that you go into these inside edges, that is one of the stretches, right? You've been able to go from this position to going out and then back in. Now, the way that you're stopping with this motion is the way that you're putting your weight down onto the inside frames of your skate. So what that is, it's this motion right here that's slowing you down. Now the immediate stop is when you start bringing your feet closer together. Now you can do it quick, right, and do an immediate stop, or you can take your time and slow down and then go forward, okay? So as the things get going, that is kind of something that you can tamper with. You can go fast or slow. Sometimes when you're in the middle of doing a trick and you need to maybe slow down a little bit before you do the next one, that is a good one to do. You can even do it a little bit and not even have to do the side, okay? So you're just kind of like this, all right? Now, a question someone asked is do I need to wax the PVC pipe? Now, depending on the PVC pipe that you have, sometimes you do have to wax it depending on if it's brand new or if it's really, really old. But majority of the time, sliding on plastic is usually pretty quick. So remember that majority of the time our skates are going to be plastic besides some of the frames that are metal now. So as you start getting comfortable and being able to go with speed, everything that you do, you should try to keep it micro. You want to try to keep things as small first until you start getting more comfortable with it. So it's kind of like a meter, right? You're not trying to go from 0 to 100 right away. You're trying to go from 0 to 30 to 60, and so on. And you're gradually building that meter. So you're not trying to go from here to here without having those steps in the middle. Because if you do, the chances of you getting hurt or injured, it becomes greater. So you want to make sure that you are keeping that in mind. Now, when you were learning how to grind onto a rail, these gloves are not wrist support gloves. These are like some just regular like tactical gloves. They're meant for kind of running stuff like this. Is actually great for, there's probably people who use this would be like for like motorcycles, something for like road rashes and things. But these are really great for skating for sure, especially right now during all these times going on, not touching stuff. So when you're able to start learning how to jump onto a rail, one thing I definitely recommend, unless you have somewhere like this grassy area that's padded, you can take these supports, these little workout mats, and you can use them as placements so you can practice stepping on and doing things without having to roll. Remember now, the motion when you start grinding and skating, that's when things start becoming more serious. So when you start actually grinding and sliding, you have to make sure you know exactly what you're doing sometimes, because if you don't, that's an easy way to slip out or miss and fall. So I mean that is something that you want to kind of keep in mind. Now the first rule, and the number one thing I can tell you that will help you as you're doing this, is to stay low. When you're practicing and doing stuff, do not try to keep your body straight up. You want to always kind of practice staying low, because what happens is if you do miss or something, it's a lot shorter to fall from being this low instead of you being way up high and falling. So get in the habit of, so one thing before you start being able to step onto the rail, now there's two ones that you can do. The first one that I recommend going with first, instead of going straight to go into a front side or a royale, because a lot of the times a lot of people will have their weights get surprised by the sliding motion of the rail. So what you want to do first that'll help you kind of just get comfortable just with your balance before you start doing that is to start with doing a sole grind or a machio grind, where you're just placing your sole plate, which is the side of your skate, whether you're on the left side or the right side. You're going to basically place your foot onto the rail, right? So if you're putting it onto the rail, you're figuring out where that flex is at, where your lean is going to be at. okay? Now if you notice that this angle right here in my leg, this is where that bend is coming in from, doing this right here, okay? This same stretch right here is the same thing you do when you're on here, okay? See that? Same exact thing. Now when you're grinding, you're not grinding on the side. You're not grinding like this. You're grinding like this on top. That's how you get that motion. That's how you get there. Okay? All those tricks. Now, same thing for on the other side. Get your balance and your everything going on the same side. You want to get comfortable, okay? Experiment with being able to balance it out. Do not be in a rush to get the tricks over with. The best part about skating is that you have this ultimate power to be free. You're able to do these things. Being in the air, doing 360s, anything that has to be, you know, with your time. Your balance is everything. That is what helps you be able to do all the tricks that you want to do. You figuring out that you're going up and down, just remember, it's your whole body that allows you to balance things out. Finding that time and making that time to do it, that's exactly what it's about, okay? So, let's go back to going on to the route. Now, doing the soul grind first, right? Now, being able... Nice, shout out to Kelly Lake. Yo, what up, Lake Brothers? You guys are the best. All right, so you guys are gonna get this on, right? So we're doing the soul grind or Makio saw. Get comfortable leaving one foot on the ground and stepping onto it, right? You're getting your body on the weight onto it. Then get comfortable doing that, and then lean it like this. This is what it's all about. Now, being smart when you're starting to learn how to do these things, it is smart to wear a helmet. It is important. I mean, your brain is something that you cannot afford to mess up or have problems like that. For me, I have a family, so my biggest support system is my family. So, you know, it would be a horrible thing to say, well, something happened because I chose not to wear my helmet that day to go skating. So I don't ever want to have to ever say that or hear that or have to deal with that or have my family deal with that. So having that helmet and skating and doing what I love, I think that's they go hand in hand. So do what you think is best. I'm just gonna say that wearing a helmet is definitely a great idea, especially for doing stuff like this if you're learning for sure. No matter how good you are, there's always that one time, you know, so you only get one body. As you are doing this, the more comfortable that you get with your body weight and you get comfortable, then you can start learning how to jump to it, okay? You were taking baby steps to it, learning how to go from one side, leaning all your body weight from the opposite foot, and now my weight's gonna transfer onto this foot. So you start getting that timing down. Now, it's important that you have this blueprint of your skate. Take time to just take your skate and look at it. Look at the space between the frame and the sole plate, where the H block is, and where the wheels and the space is between where I have to grind at. All these things become a blueprint in your mind, so you know exactly where they are when you do it. So you're never surprised, right? So every time that you do it, and you get down with the blueprint and you have it down, every time will be the same because you know exactly what to expect. You know exactly where it's going to be at. That is what being micro and taking steps slow and feel comfortable doing that. Then you can start getting the other foot on there, right? Step to it, okay? You step to it, you get one foot on, now you're doing a soul grind because you're facing the same side that you're jumping onto. That's what makes the soul grind because you're comfortable stepping onto it. Try to see how long you can balance it, right? You squat your legs down, you're going lower, you get more control, using your shoulders, your hips, all those things. All these things right here, time yourself, see how long you can do it. All those things are going to help you have that much control because that's what it's all about, all right? So when you get comfortable doing that, then you can start trying to jump to it with 2 feet because everything at the point that you want to start doing is at 2 feet. You're not going to try to be skating the majority of the time as you progress to do everything stepping onto it. You'll be able to go to and approach it with 2 feet and jump to the trick, okay? That is the process. Start micro. So this is something that you have to get into that mechanic down, okay? Now, if you're doing a front side, okay, or a trick that's an H block trick, that is something that you need to make sure that you're 100% committed with your body weight, okay? The way that your body is and the way that your feet are on the rail, that's what's going to give you the sliding motion. Now, if your weight is too far to the back, you may slip out. If your weight is too far to the front, you may slip out. So what you want to do is stay low, and you're going to either step on with your back foot being the most solid foot, depending on which one you feel the most comfortable with. This way, particular for me, is switch. I would normally do it on this way, but I'm going to show you what it's like doing it this way. So if I was going to do it this way and have a switch, I would put my back foot on first. I step off. I'm stepping on, making sure all my weight is here and firm. I'm controlling my foot. I'm being firm with my foot. I'm not letting the weight move itself, because if I do, that means I'm being very light in my foot down here, meaning my weight. I need to push that weight down. I should be able to stand up on it for a second. And that's another way that you can do to make sure that you're actually putting weight there, is just rock that back foot for a second so you feel comfortable. Then when you feel comfortable, go ahead and step it on and put it off. But it'll show you where you are with the balance. And this will also show you where you are comfortable. If you start doing this so much and it doesn't feel comfortable, and it starts feeling like it doesn't feel right, then try it on the opposite side, okay? That might be the way that you actually do that trick. Sometimes you may do tricks on one side and do a different one on the opposite. So do not put yourself in a box. Just make sure you try to experiment what side you're on and try to pick which one you want to be dominant, whether it's your left foot being your main foot, right? Okay? Or your right foot being your main foot. Okay? So having that figuring out, that's a big deal. Okay? Now, for you to even get comfortable jumping onto the rail, another way that you can do is get comfortable standing. Now, this is everything without moving. Everything that we're doing right now is just without the moving part. So what I want you to think about is having yourself on the opposite side of the rail. And what you want to do, first, if you can, if you want to step over to it to kind of get that feel, you can do that as well. What you're doing is just getting comfortable going from one side to the next. Now, if you feel comfortable doing that a couple times and you feel comfortable going back and forth over it, what you can do is start going with 2 feet. And what you're going to do is bring your knees to your chest. You're like a basketball. Your weight, the whole process, your weight is the same, okay? You don't lose any weight besides the motion of you being in the air. So that's something that you're going to get comfortable about, and that's going to give you some power too, okay? So as you are bending down with your knees facing towards you, and you're jumping, and then you're jumping to the other side, right? So I just did a 180 over it. So that's kind of the way you would be doing it. You're doing it like this first, and then you're jumping 2 feet, and you're jumping over, right? Now, it is difficult if you are doing stuff without motion, but you're gonna have to do a lot of having to jump, okay? You're bringing your knees up, you're keeping your legs high enough to where you realize when you start jumping onto rails, you're going to be jumping a little bit higher than you actually are jumping to the rail. You're never reaching for the rail. Never reaching for the rail. You're always jumping a little higher than you need to. You're jumping higher, and then you're landing onto it, so you have that time, okay? That is a super big one. Whenever you're able to do that, that's just making you more and more confident to be able to jump in 2 feet, okay? So anytime you're practicing doing any tricks, when you're doing, either if you're doing topside tricks, right? Topside tricks is the same exact thing. If you're trying to learn topsides, instead of just going straight forward, what you could do is first you just get comfortable jumping over the rail, okay? Jumping over the rail, then you get comfortable putting that foot on, right? So you want to make sure that you have enough time when you're jumping that you come down and you're putting yourself onto the rail. You're never just reaching for it. You're not going to get right here. You're going to be jumping a little bit higher than you need to. So you land onto it. You hear these noises, okay? Those are all noises that you need to be comfortable hearing to let you know that you're locking, okay? Now, topside, same thing. You're learning how to keep your body weight centered. The more that you can keep your body weight centered on top, you want to come back on the same side that you took off on. So if you're on this side, your goal is to land back on this side after you get comfortable. So if you're jumping over, then you can get one foot on there, get one on there. Okay, you're comfortable doing that. Then you jump a little higher, and now you're making sure this other foot gets there. So when you start realizing that you have the time in the air to put your feet where you want, you can kind of, I'm keeping my vision right here. I'm making sure I'm looking. Now that I know that I'm locked, now I can start looking forward, right? So I'm making sure I'm locked, and now I'm looking forward to see where I'm going, okay? As you start getting comfortable doing that and getting in the groove of doing that, those are the steps, okay? Now, okay, so now whenever you are trying to figure out which way is your switch, now you may have one spin one way and you may do something with your foot the opposite way. What you should do is try to figure out, either make a list that you can figure out what all the tricks that you can do one way, and then maybe all the tricks you do the opposite way. Then you can decide and choose which foot you want to choose as being the dominant one, so you know, okay, this is what I'm choosing as my dominant foot, even though I know I can still do it with this foot. So you may not have a switch or regular in some things, but that'll make you realize when you start skating backwards, that'll help you realize what side you do things, because you'll start realizing what shoulder that you're looking over when you're skating backwards. So that's another good way to see which way that you are comfortable skating, but try to make everything well-rounded. That's always the biggest picture, so you want to try to be as well-rounded as you can. Now, whenever we are doing tricks that we have never learned, this is the best way. Don't forget that the P-rail can move. You can put it anywhere you want. If you want to put it like this, so you can have it over the mat still, and now you can try doing it with motion, right? You start using the P-rail as a way to start getting your experience, okay, and your creativity. It all comes from being able to do stuff like this. And if you don't have a P-rail, you can also use a curve. You can use a PVC pipe that you find. You can use a mop, a metal mop broom, anything that's circular, that's strong enough that you won't bend it or bend it too much to where it breaks. You can use that as a rail or a prop to be a practice rail, okay? So those are one of the two main ones, okay? Now, if we are talking about doing, so if you're trying to learn how to do a trick that's like a true spin trick, right? Now, that's kind of the same exact concept, except when you're doing true spins, you have to realize that you have to jump a little bit higher than you are doing. Same thing with doing the top sides. Any kind of trick that you're doing on a rail, majority of the time, are objects, you're always jumping a little bit higher than the actual object. You're never jumping to it, you're jumping a little bit higher so you can land on top of it. So with true spins, now this is for like the more advanced intermediate group, right? So if you are doing true topsoils, a way for you to kind of get comfortable doing that is having something that you feel comfortable, that you can get your body weight over it. Now, one of the first ones that I would suggest that you try, it does multiple ones to help you do the true anything, like true makias, true fish, true topsoil, true top acid. We'll kind of go through all those, but the one that you should start with that will help is a true topsoil. So that's like one of the go-to true spin tricks, besides doing it on, if it's on the true spin side itself. Now, two ways, right? So a true spin trick, if it's top side, that means that you are approaching the rail and you're going to be on top of the rail, right? So you're coming, the rail, you are facing against it, and you're going to be coming on opposite side of it, right? You are coming on this side of the rail. That makes it true top side. So anytime your foot the sole foot is either on the same side as the object, that means that it's top side. If I'm coming from this direction and making a true spin trick, it doesn't make it necessarily top side, it makes it just true spin, because my foot is still on this side of the rail. It's not on the opposite side. So if my foot's on this side, that makes it top side. If the foot's on this side, it makes it true, okay? In the direction, if I'm spinning going in this direction. So as you're able to do that, stalling it is the most important thing. Getting down with the stalls, being able to stall it. You're jumping high enough to where you can jump and spin at the same time and focus on where you are going to land. Now, the whole gist, right, is that if you can get the timing right, if you're jumping up, you want to be able to be spotting where you're going to be looking, right? I'm spotting where I'm looking, and then I'm going to slowly turn my body, and as I'm doing that, I'm keeping my shoulders still centered with the lock. Until I lock, that is when I turn my shoulders the opposite direction. Or if I'm turning this way, then I'm going to turn in this direction and see where I'm going, so I can see where the landing is at. But it's all about the initial lock. As soon as you get the lock down in first, then you can open up your shoulders to see exactly where you're looking at. Okay? So those are the main two ones. When you're getting that focus point down and you're being able to do that, that's whenever you can see where you're going. All right. So that's for true spin tricks going this way. Same thing if you did true spin Machio, true spin acid, doing it like true spin Machio like this, right? Machio. If you're doing true spin acid, same exact thing, except you are putting your weight. It's going to be different as soon as you get in the air because you're going to have to move your opposite foot into whatever position you're trying to do. But it all comes down to that Machio foot. So the soles, the true Machios and true fish, those ones are ones that get masters at. Those are the ones that get mastered at because those are the main tricks that will open up to do any of the other ones. So if I learn how to do true topsoul, right? That means I can open up to do true fish, right? True fish is with one foot. Now these are also hard tricks because you have to have a lot of commitment. There are a lot of time that you have to make sure that that foot is locked there because it opens up, you know, your insides, your ribs. That's how you know you're doing it right, because whatever side the rail is at, that's where your ribs and everything are at too. So you know that's the true spin side because it's difficult, the body position, right? So when you get that angle down, that's what's going to make it possible, okay? That'll open up to doing true spin type acids, okay? Okay, so you get comfortable at looking at your skates when you're grinding. When you are doing that, you're looking at your skates while you're doing it, and then you're trying to figure out, okay, so I got my lock in, now I have to look to see where I'm going. So you get your lock in, and now I'm going to see where I'm going. If you break it down in those steps, instead of you having to figure out, trying to look at something that you don't know you're locking at just yet, that takes time to get to that point. You always want to start micro, okay? Get those locks down, okay? Then you start adding speed. You start getting comfortable, right? You're taking those tricks and adding speed to them, right? All of these. The P-rail is your best friend when it comes to practicing and learning all these different things. Now, make sure that you're doing it smart. Make sure that you have something. So if in this link in the description of this video, I'm going to go ahead and put a website that you guys can look and get aggressive skates, inline skates, free skates, freestyle skates. They are pretty great. These are called Flying Eagle skates. You may have seen them. I did some like hydro dipping on them. Now the red's starting to poke out a little bit, but I like them. Fun. It's a good skate to start with. There's a lot of things. It's not the skate that's going to necessarily make you a better skater. It's going to be you. So don't forget that. It's always you that's going to be the one that makes it happen. There are plenty of skates out there that you can get. These are the ones that I use. There are so many different support systems out there as long as the blading community is still here, right? We're not going nowhere. It's not dying. This is something that we're all trying to keep together, and you guys being able to tap in on this is a really big deal. So I really appreciate everybody that's watching right now. You guys are dope. So most of these things are super important. Now, when you want to start getting comfortable doing like harder tricks and start being comfortable doing, you know, spin to grinds and things like that, it's all about your micro steps with doing everything off the skates. Getting comfortable jumping on your skates, all the directions, right? All the directions, right? Go back the other way. You want to be getting comfortable to the point to where you realize you control everything on the skates, right? Everything. It's all you. All the mechanics, okay? Now, in my class, I show a lot of different techniques. If you ever are interested in trying to get personal lessons and do anything like that, check out the website at www.bfreeblading.org. The lessons are super fun. They're very personal for you, which will highlight it just for you that you can kind of tap into. So real quick, if anyone has a question right now, I want you to go ahead and ask it right now. Put it in the top, and I'm going to go ahead and see what you guys are trying to do. What's up, Russia? What does it say? Flynn? What's up, man? So this is it. This is how you start learning. This is everything that you can go from here, especially now that you have this time. Now you can start going through the tricks. Every trick that you start being comfortable with, try to do it at least 5 times, right? The rule of 5. You do it once, you know that, okay, this stall, right? If I'm stalling onto a Royale, okay? If I'm stalling onto a Royale, jumping with 2 feet, right? I'm trying to make sure that I get my ankle on that bend, okay? Yeah, what's up, Mom, Dad? Hope they're watching. What's up? All right, this is something that you guys can get comfortable, okay? Being able to stall onto the rail and balance it out, okay? Savannahs too. Now, there's 2 ways to do Savannahs now. The real Savannah is the one that you're coming the opposite side and you're spinning your body like this. So I'll show you what it looks like on this side. So Savannah, right? So we'll just go through the unities really quick. So front unity, I'll do it this way. So front unity would be with my front foot being in front, my left leg being behind me. That's the direction that I would do it. So what I would do to practice it, you have to get very comfortable with having your feet crossed anyway. So if you are comfortable crossing your feet without any problems, right? This is the main one you want to do. You want to practice doing it, make sure you have it down on the flat ground. And what you can do is practice jumping into it on flat ground. So what you're doing, you're getting comfortable jumping onto it on flat ground. You get the sensation and also the muscle memory of understanding what it's like when you get that squat, that lean, the flex in the skates. Your balance from up top has to be very centered. If you're not going to be centered on it, it's going to make it very difficult for you to control it. So when you put your feet onto it, right, you don't want to feel like you're just going to slide out. So what you have to do is make sure that when you leave the ground, when your feet are about to jump up onto the rail, that same weight and energy is going to be what happens to keep you there locked in place up to the rail. You are using your arms, your shoulders, your knees, your hips, everything to keep you balanced, okay? So I'll show you how to do one on this side. Now, you can start doing it parallel, where you're facing straight to it, and you're jumping up and making sure that you have enough time in the air to cross your feet. You want to make sure you're jumping high enough to jump up and cross your feet. You don't want to wait and reach for it. You're making sure that you're jumping high enough that you have time to do it. So when you lock and land on the rail, you have that centered weight already ready, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do it just standing up onto it. Make sure you have enough space. Okay? Oh, and if you don't lock it, every time that you do, you start figuring out how to lock it, okay? Okay, so I'll show you how to do it in front. So when you're doing it, you want to make sure whatever side that you start the jump off, for you to know that it counts, the way that you know that it counts is the fact that you can lock it and come back off the same side that you jumped. If you come off far side, that's fine. If you come off far side trying to come off far side, that's a different thing. So you want to be able to have that control. That's what it's all about. Take your time. The control is what you want. It's the balance. It's the slow mechanics. It's all of those things that's going to help you. That's the front unity. Now, Savannah is a little bit harder for more the intermediate groups. So when you're doing a Savannah, the real Savannah is when you are coming to the rail, and the rail is going to be either on your, if you are skating with your left foot, the rail will be on the right side of your body, right? So as you are doing this trick, you have to be jumping high enough that where you can finish the rotation in the air. So when you're locking, your feet are going to get ready to lock in this position going this way. Okay, so I'm going to do it again real slow so you can see it on here. So you're just doing it sideways like this. You're turning in the air, and you're spotting everywhere where you're about to land, but you have to make sure that those feet get locked in that position, and your shoulders are going to start turning in this position. So you're looking at where you're going. Now, having that commitment. Now, this trick is a great trick to learn on the ledge because you have more space to fall off on. On a rail, you have to be very precise because it's a unity trick. So your weight, everything that your weight is, you have to make sure it's right. So if I'm practicing stalling this trick, what I would do, I would make sure that I'm jumping high enough to get that stall on there, okay? So I'm having my body right here, I'm jumping up, I'm turning my body weight to try to get that rotation. So I'm doing the same thing, I'm going to be stalling on the side, I'm jumping high enough, getting my feet on the rotation. Now, these tricks, when you do hard tricks, especially on smaller things, it makes you more precise. It's like you are a samurai cutting through the finest hair. You have to make sure that you cut that so sharp, right? So when you're doing this, you're making sure that you are on point, but getting everything there, okay? Okay? So that time I came off far side. That means that one didn't count. It didn't count, but that's the one that I want to make sure that I land back on the same side that I took off. So when I'm on there, I'm making sure that I have my body weight centered throughout the whole time. I'm enjoying the fact that when I'm in the air, I have control of when I need to put my feet down. I'm not just guessing when to do it. I'm taking that time and jumping up. And as I'm rotating, I'm spotting and looking at where my feet are going to land. Okay? Getting that weight on there is the whole thing. Try to make sure that you have your body weight centered, right? Okay? So anytime that you are doing any trick with motion, if you're doing a front farve, one of the royales, any of the tricks that you have to be on your boot, it is a scary sensation sometimes. It feels like as soon as your foot gets on there, that you're going to come out of it. So the best tip that you have to realize is that you want to go with the motion and not against it, okay? It's like going up a transition. You're not going to try to run into the transition. No, you're going to ride the transition all the way up. So same thing in here. You are grinding with it. So you are in the motion of it. So you don't necessarily want to try to fight it by getting out of it. That's why going slow first and just working on being comfortable stalling it. The more you get comfortable stalling it, then you go a little bit faster. Okay? You go a little bit faster. And you just start small. You have to get comfortable with you and your own speed. Everybody's weight is different. Everybody's skate is different. Everybody's mechanics of how they think and approach things are different. So you have to find and tap in what works best for you. If you can start slow, if you can start in a way that you can gradually build on, those are the things that are going to help you, okay? Now, as you are trying to get comfortable with the motion, try to find ways that you can put something in safe. Put a whole bunch of, putting a whole bunch of pillows down, or getting some mats that you can be comfortable falling down onto, putting it in the grass. All those things are what helps you get the confidence. Skating is if not 100% confident, I don't know what else is, because they're attached to your body. It's all you. So all that confidence has to come from somewhere, and it has to start from somewhere. It's like a seed, right? We're planting that seed, and you're watching that confidence grow. So this is your first step in doing it. Now you have kind of some guidelines on what exactly to kind of work with, and if you have questions about it, you can always call or ask, and we can talk about it. So these are things that are going to help you build on. Now, if you're switching up from a royale trick to doing something else, what you want to do is you have to apply all that pressure. So if you know that you're going to do a royale to an alley topsail or true soul or true macchio, right? If you're going from one side going this direction, right? From going that way, you have to make sure all that weight is on that foot, okay? All that weight is going to be on the sole foot. That's going to happen. That comes down to your weight transfer, all right? You being able to stand on one foot as long as you can, to you being able to stand on the opposite foot. You can do all these stretches off of the skates that will help you evolve and keep making it happen, okay? These are all important steps that are going to help you grow and make you that much more confident when you skate, okay? So if you're doing a royale to alley topsail, all my weight, since I'm coming using my left leg as being the royale foot, all my weight is going to go from this side of my body and carry it onto the top. Now there's two ways that you can switch up into it. You can do the slide into it, which majority of the time you would do that more on a ledge. You can also do it on a rail as well too, but the chances are you'll probably do like a little hop into it, okay? Now when I say hop, that means that you're going from here to making sure that you lock into that trick. Now the more that you get comfortable doing that, you can stand on the rail and go through all the motions of the tricks by just stepping off the opposite foot, okay? Now these things that you do are going to be obviously stuff that you're going to when you're a little more advanced on it, when you feel comfortable standing on the rail. Those are the points carrying all that weight to the opposite side. You can switch up from that switch up into another switch up. So it's all about your timing and all about your confidence on being on the rail, especially if it's a P rail, okay? Those are the main focus, okay? So my size wheels that I'm skating right now, these are a size 58-90 from the brand called Eulogy. You should check those guys out. They're like a legendary brand. Yeah, check out all the stuff, okay? And also, did I make my P rail? Yes. This rail, and I have another one that I actually it was a 6-foot one, and I just cut it in half so I could have these as mobile ones I could just throw into the car and be able to skate and show students at school how to do this. So now for beginners that are anyone that's interested in trying to make a P rail, that is something that you should definitely do. Now the size of it, now depending on what your space is, the longer P rails will give you a little more time to experiment with your balance. Shorter ones make it a little bit more sharper as far as you being precise because you only have so much time to grind. So I like both. I like having longer ones or short ones because they'll be able to, you can work on different skills with that. So, and if you are trying to learn to do toe rolls and heel rolls and things like that, now, best thing about any of these things is that you can do this literally standing still on any soft surface, or if you have carpet or anything like that. What you want to do is get comfortable flexing on all your weight onto your toes, all your weight onto your heels. So what you're doing, you can kind of rock back and forth, having them both parallel, right? You're just kind of rocking back and forth. Then what you can do is have whichever foot you feel the strongest, have that one staggered a little bit forward, and then you want to do the same exact thing, okay? So the foot that you have the most control over, that's the one that you're going to want to have in front, so you can kind of practice doing these two. Now, when you want to start getting into the actual trick, doing either a heel roll with one foot or the toe roll with one foot, you need to realize that the opposite foot is kind of like your weight distributor, right? It's your counterweight. Now, when you're doing heel rolls, your heel wants to be kind of parallel with your weight. So you're going to have your foot kind of right underneath you. It's not going to be way out in front and you're doing a heel roll, or it's not going to be way in the back doing a heel roll. It's going to be right underneath you. So you kind of have like this energy right here that you were trying to keep balance with. Now you're using the opposite foot as going back and forth. Now what you're doing is you can figure out ways that you can put each one together by either having it simple on here, as far as doing it like that. You're having it up and down. Now another one that can force you to get comfortable with it is take one skate off and put a shoe on, and have just your foot that you want to get comfortable with doing the toe rolls, and having your shoe off so you can just stop on your foot when you need to. So when you're doing toe rolls, that's the same exact thing. You're going to have your foot right directly in front of you or down below you. It's not going to be way out in the front. It's not going to be way out in the back. It's going to be perfectly right on top, right? So you're having that same kind of weight, and your toes are basically pushing up, and your toes are kind of being what's your main weight source. Everything is on the toes. Everything is going to be from here to here, right? And your toes are going to be what's holding that up. Now, for you to get comfortable, you can even grab onto either a counter or a wall and also use that as a brace to kind of help you balance out going back and forth. Now, when you start doing it in motion, to be 100% honest with you, when you do it with motion, it's a little easier because the motion actually helps you with the balance. Now, doing it standing still, that takes a lot of skill too, because you are using more balance than you would when you're actually rolling it. Because the motion is actually doing it, right? Same thing with the heel roll, right? It's a lot harder to balance it just standing still than it would be for you to roll a little bit and be able to have it in front. Now, the balance is it. The more that you feel comfortable balancing, that is how you get comfortable going further in your distance with doing the toe rolls and the heel rolls, okay? Those are all main ones that you can get focused with, okay? Now, doing anything that has to do with your flexibility and your patience, in skating a lot of the times, it is your balance. And all these things you can do is balance off the skates as well, okay? There's a lot of things that you can work on that you can do without having to do the rails yet. If you feel yourself all over the place and not in tune with whenever you're balancing, on the floor, that is a problem. Okay, you have to figure out a way that you can get comfortable, get centered. Every time that you do it, that is the goal. You want to have the same trick every time. Every time is the same. Not every time is different, right? You don't want to be all over here and here. Every time that you do the trick, you have it down to a T. You have that blueprint. All right. Big shout out to the Shinobi Blade clan out there. Yo, Nigeria. Much love. Hope everyone out there is doing blessed and be safe out there. This is how you can start getting things down. Now, really quick before we get out of here, just going to show you guys just a few tricks that you can work on. Now, for the intermediate, for the people that are working on their topside tricks, okay, the biggest concept is that you have to make sure that you are jumping high enough to land on top of the rail, okay? So even whenever you are doing the trick, you learn how to stay present through the whole thing. Skating is about being present through the whole thing, the whole process. Rolling up to the trick, doing the trick, being present after the trick as well, okay? We talk about a lot of these things in the class about still blading in your house or in your area that's safe and not letting these times get you down. I hope this is something that can keep you motivated and keep you hungry for trying to make stuff happen, okay? So as you get comfortable doing this, this is something that's going to be more and happy with, okay? So I'll show you a couple of ones really quick. Right, the fish brain. Now that's one that you will be able to, if you get the fish brain down, that's the one that you'll be really confident with doing any other topside tricks that are soul tricks, right? So any topside stuff that are soul, that is a good one to master. All right. Do topside one. Okay. Now you having the time to be able to put these things, those things in here, that is something that you're able to have time to stand on the rail and balance all through the tricks. If you can stand and balance and go through the cycle of the tricks, try to see how long that you can hold them. Okay? That will help you get comfortable with also going into switch-ups as well too, okay? Now, protective gear. If you are a beginner and you are just learning how to skate, I cannot say this enough. You have to get ready to be mindful with wearing protective gear. Get some pads, get a helmet, get some elbow pads, knee pads, things like that are what's going to help you feel comfortable and feel obviously safe when you're doing this, because this is something that you know, it can be unforgiving sometimes too. So have that respect. It's like you're being a warrior and this is your training and you are having something that you need to come in there with respect, because your blades, your skates, your quad skates, all those things are something that can, you know, either you know, make you or break you. So you being able to figure out a way to have that understanding and that respect for what you're doing, you will start seeing how easy it is for you to start progressing, okay? Have that respect, have that time, have that this passion, okay? Wear your safety gear if you need it. You have to do it if you are, you know, just starting. Don't go and try to do the most craziest thing in the world just for, you know, clicks and likes. So be safe, okay? Be safe out there, make it fun. It's the longevity that matters, okay? That's what it's about. Make sure you guys tap into the website and hit me up on Instagram or anything if you have any questions, and hopefully we get to keep doing this, all right? Shoot!